Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Cookiecast. Today on Cookiecast, it's the Darkest Timeline podcast, so you're stuck with me for the day. I imagine there'll be a conversation about what's been going on in the last week, and then it'll be games, movies, and a bit of the gym. So here we go, this is Cookiecast, the Darkest Timeline podcast. Alright then. Ooh. Oh man, I thought I was totally ready and then my microphone just a little bit off. I totally set everything up as well. It was good. I made sure that everything was lined up and ready. A little bit of fluff there, but that sounds great. Hello. This is I, Cookie. We're here on the Darkest Timeline podcast. Oh, quickie on to get things going. Oh man, I should have made a coffee. Then you could all listen to me drink a coffee. So, still summer. Windows only open a crack. It's a summer's evening. So yeah, it's not been as warm the last couple of weeks. Wonder if that's the end of summer. Oof. Right. So I did a thing where I've been talking about $1 billion movies and how movies nowadays seem to have to make $1 billion or they're not worth anything. Two films that I'd mentioned as being like films that I was talking about was the Lion King remake and the remake of Aladdin. And I was saying that the Lion King was doing very well. It had reached great heights very quickly, which was fine. But I was saying about Aladdin being $1 billion movie, even though it had not great reviews. Literally did that podcast, and then it could have been the next day, it could have been the day after. I saw a thing that was saying that the Lion King is now the highest grossing. The Lion King remake is now the highest grossing animated movie of all time. I was like, wow. Beating, I believe, Frozen was originally, or was up until recently, the highest grossing. I know Spirited Away also features on that list because of the the Asian market. That's their, or I think that was their version of Titanic. Spirited Away was bigger in Asia than Titanic was. So I was like, wow, Lion King is now the highest grossing animated movie. But then I was like, does it still class as animated if it's CG? I mean, obviously it does, because that's the statistic that's been thrown out. Highest grossing animated movie. But, I mean, CG, computer graphics, CGI, what's the I stand for? That's a weird one. But does it still... I mean, again, like I say, obviously it is animated because it's got the highest grossing animated movie thing. Oh, God, here we go. But yeah, I thought it was strange that, having spoken about that literally the next day or the day after the statistic came out that it was now the highest gross animated movie. But I did wonder. I saw a clip on a video that was announcing it. I was like, is this classed as animated these days? Yeah, anyway. So, I had a bit of holiday last week. various different bits and bobs on the holiday. Holiday is like time off work. So we all went to the designer outlet one day. It was Leanne's dad's birthday. We went to the designer outlet. So there's this hilarious thing about the designer outlet with regards to where I work. So for years there's been this ongoing thing that if you go to the designer outlet in York and you tell them that you work for the company that I work for, they'll give you a card. This card gets you discount in certain shops and places like that, places in there. So I went and I was like, oh, while I'm there I might as well ask. Previously, the issue with this discount is you're at an outlet, so everything is already discounted, and I basically couldn't find anywhere that would take the card that they give you, because they would just say everything's already discounted. You can't have a discount on a discount. If you can find a full price item in an outlet, then there's obviously something wrong, and it was just the weirdest situation. However, one thing that was of benefit was that the various different coffee shops that were in or are in the outlet, they did give discount. So this time when we went, I was like, well, I know we're going to be going for a coffee because, that's kind of what you do. So even if I go and I get the card and it gives me discount on the coffee, then, we could kind of use it to get everybody's coffee, probably make quite a saving if it was 5 or 10 or more %. So I went, I spoke to the lady, she gave me the card, she was like, obviously places can refuse service, it's only on full price items, things like this. I was like, yeah, whatever, I don't need it for that, I just want it for money off coffee. Does anybody want to guess which establishments have been removed from the discount? Yeah, that's right. So all the coffee shops gone from the list. I'm like, what is the actual point to this quote unquote discount if it is completely unusable? So working for the company I work for, you get this discount thing that there is no point to it whatsoever. Like I say, previously you could have got a coffee out of it and you could have got like 10% off a coffee. Now you can't even do that. What is the point? It was truly baffling. So that was... Did you do that? Was that Tuesday or Wednesday? Not sure it overly matters. Just trying to line everything up. We decided to go to Eureka, the Science Museum. So, one of those things that I'm not sure how well thought out this was, but it was, I've got a great idea. Let's go to Eureka on a rainy day, because we knew it was going to be raining, so that's why we needed an indoor activity, in the middle of the children's summer holidays. Leanne had said, I did say on the website that it said that, it could be a bit busier on rainy days. It's like, well, it's definitely a rainy day, But we went. Again, it's one of those, not the cheapest of places. It was actually the most expensive place we could have picked to go out of the list of places that we were going to go. got stuck in a massive traffic jam because they decided to do some roadworks on what turned out to be the only road into Halifax. That was a joy. So we just sat looking at horses in a field. Drove up there, got there, and I think when we'd driven through like the fourth additional car park, we kind of knew what it was going to look like. So I was like, I said to Leon, I was like, why don't you take everybody and go in and I'll sort the parking, go put the parking back on the car and then come in and meet you. Which did. Took a little while because there was just a very long queue. Here's a question. Why is it that everybody in a queue for a parking meter suddenly becomes an expert about parking meters? It's like once you get to the parking meter, because there's a queue behind you, you lose all of any form of intelligence that you might have previously had. And you just start pouring at the machine, hoping that it'll know what you want and it will spit out a ticket for the right amount of time. Bearing in mind that they've got instructions plastered all over them. So for some reason, if there's a queue of people, you suddenly lose all ability to buy a ticket. So I'm in this long queue. Everybody that comes to the machine can't understand and can't work the machine. Everybody that's behind them in the queue knows exactly how the machine works, what they should be doing, how they should be doing it, what they need to do, how they're doing it wrong, all of that. Which makes loads of sense right up to the point that it's their turn and then they suddenly don't know what they're supposed to be doing in the machine. And the person behind them suddenly has all. It's like a transference of intelligence. Like once you get to the machine, it pushes the intelligence back a step. It's a bizarre thing. I mean, I got there and I was like, right, it's got a thing so you can do it contactless. I'm quite into the contactless thing. I use my phone to pay for stuff. It's cool. Very futuristic. So I'm like, cool, I'm going to use my phone. Waving my phone at the machine all over the shop, and it's like, it's not working. Like, okay. One point it said that the transaction had been completed, then it said the transaction had been rejected, and then it said the transaction was complete. So I was like, okay, well I know I've got enough money in the bank to pay for £3-4 parking thing. So I know it hasn't been rejected. I did hear a couple of people further in the queue going on about rejected payments. So I was like, okay, I guess this is a thing. Got my card out, stuck it in the machine, put how long I wanted, put my pin into the pin pad, took my card out, got a ticket. I needed nobody's help to do this, but admittedly, I did try and do it twice. But yeah, it's like this, I don't know whether it's a British thing or what, but yeah, the ability to use a parking machine versus the ability to stand in a queue and know exactly what to do with the parking machine. Anyway, took the ticket, walked off, like, screw you guys, you can sort yourselves out. Put it on the car. The car was quite a ways away from the ticket machine. Put it on the car. Walked back past the line of people, all not knowing what to do and knowing what to do. Got to Eureka, went in. Lan had obviously gone through the queue, which was massive, another indicator. And she was waving at me as I came through the door. Lady put a stamp on my hand so I can get in and out. And that was that. We were off. The place was rammed. I mean, like, seriously, rammed. Should I be surprised by this? No, I shouldn't be surprised by this. I should have known this, and I did, and that's fine. There's a thing where, there's this phrase where your children are fine, other people's children are awful. And the reason that is a phrase is because it's so very true. I mean, you see some sites in this place. There's an older version of me, a version of me from like 10 or 15 years ago, that really wants to sort of start ripping into like every single family or group of people that I saw. Over the years, I learned that wasn't a healthy thing, so I stopped doing that. But that there is that little bit of me that's still there that wants to talk about various things. I can safely say I've never seen more pregnant women in one place than I did at Eureka that day. It was like a pregnant women's convention. Anyway, as far as Eureka's concerned, it's horrifically expensive. It's very expensive. They want you to pay for parking, which most places we've been recently don't. And they want you to pay for literally everybody. When a place wants you to pay for a 2-year-old, you know that there's something not quite right. But we knew it was going to be expensive, and we knew that was a thing. So, okay, cool. Pay the money, go in, job done. As for the place itself, it was good. I know a lot of people. I've spoken to a lot of people who are like, "Oh, it's great there." Very much the sort of place that you definitely want to go when the kids are at school. But then, why would you go somewhere like that if the kids were at school? I was doing for the money. It better be better than Diggerland, because Diggerland is hands down, by far, the best experience like that I've been to potentially ever. Diggerland is definitely number one. Eureka was good. Worth the money, maybe. Some of the things like these sort of like bits and pieces, it's all interactive. The kids can play with literally everything. Obviously, when you've got a situation like that, a lot of stuff gets broken. I kept seeing this kid, and it was definitely like his mission to break absolutely everything he touched. So when you've got scenarios like that where there are just situations where people want to break things. So there was quite a lot of stuff that wasn't working. Not loads, but every now and then you'd come to someone and be like, "Oh, this doesn't work," or "Whatever it's supposed to do, I don't think it's doing," sort of thing. There was a lot of cool stuff, like voice changing things in the sights and sounds bit. There's like a big open room where you go in and they've got like light tubes, and you hit the tube and it lights up, and you've got to try and find the one tube that lights them all up. Various different like lighting effects. They've got these walls that if you walk along like a corridor, the wall lights up with your shape and stuff. Cool effects. They had one of those upstairs and downstairs, but they were both different, but both really good. They had some sections for like under fives. Went in one of the under 5 sections, and it was very weird. It was cool. It was cool in there, but yeah, it seemed to be being run by some kind of child mafia. There was like all these kids that were, I think the youngest was 10, 11, 12, and then there were all these kids that were older than that, and they seemed to be running some kind of mafia situation with parent supervision, I might add. There was cool stuff about the body. There was this massive area that was about like the dentist and the doctors and your body and stuff, and there was like a big open mouth with a wobbly tooth and things like that. It was good. It was super busy, which I don't think you know, even though it sounds like I'm complaining, I fully expected it to be busy. Sometimes it's just a bit intense when there's that many people. There was some cool stuff. There was those press a penny. I kind of like them things, like, you know, you stick a pound in and it presses a penny into a shape of, I think there was like some robot ones. We got a couple of robots out of that. You didn't have to put the penny in this one. Most of them it's like a pound and a penny, but this one provided the penny, which was nice. A hurricane machine. These are things you had to pay for, but still worth a laugh. So yeah, hurricane machine seemed to be cool. It was good. It was super busy, but it was good. It got a lot quieter a lot later in the day. I imagine people go for like a couple of hours and then they're done. The thing that was interesting was people were still queuing to come in at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was bonkers. I guess if you live close and I think it's one of those places where if you buy a ticket, it's valid for a year. So maybe people who live close just are like, it's kind of like, oh, it's raining, let's go to Eureka, it won't cost anything. That's probably quite understandable. I'd certainly do it if it was, you know, on my doorstep or something. So yeah, that was Eureka. I'd recommend it. Like I say, you got to go a long way to beat Diggerland in my book, but I definitely recommend it to, you know, people who've got kids. One thing was, I did see loads of people that didn't have children, which was odd, to say the least. I saw loads of people walking through the car parks that had no children with them. But, you know, there was like this section that we only found right at the end when we were about to leave, that seemed really cool. And it was tucked away round a corner. There was no sign for it, no nothing. It was just like round this corner from where one of the under 5 things was. There was this massive area of like, I don't know if it was like a bathroom thing. They had like a big water table, this like dark corridor. You know, you write your place where you write your bad dreams and stick it in an elephant's mouth. All sorts of stuff. But we only found that right at the very end. So that's something to look out for next time, I guess. But yeah, it was good. It's not cheap, but like I say, your ticket's valid for a year, and yeah, it was good. It was a good day out. I wrote something on my list about cutting my hair off, because honestly, for the life of me, I can't remember if I spoke about it on a previous podcast. I presume I did, but I don't remember it. So I wrote it down like, did I talk about that? It's one of those things that in the next, like, I've been coding podcasts over the weekend, which I'll come to in a bit. But it's a very strange thing. If I in the next few podcasts that I code, I don't hear me talking about cutting my hair off, I'll have to talk about cutting my hair off. But for now, I'll leave it just in case I have already spoken about it. Right, so we went to Eureka. Last Thursday was supposed to be a nice weather day. So it was sun with cloud on the BBC weather, which, you know, it mentioned sun, so obviously let's go to the beach. Went to Whitby. Of the two possible options for beach, Whitby, Scarborough. Obviously there's like Brid and places like that, but Whitby or Scarborough would be the only choices I would go to. I prefer Whitby. I just think it's a bit nicer. I know Scarborough, people would say Scarborough has a better beach. I'm pretty sure Scarborough Beach isn't as affected by the tide, but that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Anyway, so drove to Whitby. Now I was like, right, if anybody thinks that there's going to be a chance of going to the beach, they're going to go to the beach. Going to Whitby or Scarborough from here, it's all down one road, and it just gets so badly bottlenecked. It's awful. A long time ago, Rob Rafton, podcast alum, told me, "Oh, you don't want to go that way. If it's sunny, don't ever go that way. Go the back way." And told me like 5 or 6 times how to go this particular way. One day I decided to try it. It only partially worked because I'd taken a wrong turn and ended up just a bit further down the road. Luckily enough, it cut out all the congestion and it was just smooth sailing. Had another conversation with Robbie. He was like, no, you've come off too early there. Tried it again and found that there's like this back way through all these back roads. And it just literally spits you out on like a big roundabout. That one of the turn-ins is to turn off down to Whitby. So you cut out all the possible congestion. So I was like, we're going to go that way, which we did. Definitely cut out the congestion. Absolutely flying down, those windy country roads that are 60 miles an hour. So there was a lot of that. Which is good for me. I enjoy driving. I enjoy sort of that sort of driving. It's a lot of fun. So that was enjoyable for me. I think everybody else in the car enjoyed it from the laughter and the joy, the sounds of joy of going round the bends and stuff. So we went to Whitby. So. Admittedly, the weather wasn't great. It didn't rain, and it was sunny as we were leaving. Other than that, standard British weather at the end of the day. But, if you're going to the beach, you're going to the beach. I had my sunglasses on. Definitely wasn't sunny, but hey, dance like nobody's watching, as I always say. So, got to the Abbey car park, which is where I like to park. Although that hill's a bit of a nightmare. Got there. Let's have some lunch. We've literally got here at lunchtime. So let's have some lunch. Everybody's eating lunch. Somebody decides that they needed the toilet. As is the way these things go. Various times people need the toilet. Okay, cool. Let's go to the toilet. Land's like, oh, do you need to take some change? Then it might charge you. And I was like, no, the toilets up here don't charge. It's the ones down at the front, they charge. Walked across the car park, walked down the steps, turned the corner to go into the toilet. Barricade. What's this? Oh, you want money to use the toilet? Okay. Everybody knows the phrase, spend a penny. Yeah, well, let's times that by 40, shall we? The barrier wanted 40 pence to go to the toilet. Comes to something in life when we are taking away basic human rights and replacing it with somebody who's got their hand out. 40p! To go to the toilet. So, over the course of that day, I spent £1.60. Was that right? Yeah, I think it was £1.60 for various people, including myself, to go to the toilet. There was 2 occasions up at the Abbey and 2 occasions down on the seafront of toilet usage. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Lamb was like, oh, it's so that they can pay for people to clean them. Okay, well, they were cleaned before they were charging people. So how did that magically happen? Did the cleaning fairies turn up and clean the toilets? Or are they council-provided toilets? Admittedly, the one on the seafront is actually a new toilet block. They closed the other toilet block because, the those toilets were free and opened a toilet block over the road where they charge you 40p. I'm so sick and tired of every single thing in this world having a price tag on it. Oh, is there a possibility that we could make some money out of that? Stick a price tag on it. Oh, did we do something for free? Charge for it next time. Charging people. Here's something. What if you didn't have 40p? What if you were in a situation, let's say you were on the beach, and you were like, ooh, I'm bursting, absolutely bursting. Oh man, I'll run to the toilet. I saw some toilets on the way here. 5-10 minutes away, depending where you are on the beach. You say to your family member, right, I'm leaving my stuff here. I'm just going to run to the toilet. I'll be 10 minutes. You get all the way up there. You've left your wallet, your phone, your everything with your family member, and you get there. They want 40p from you. Then what? What if you don't have 40p in change anyway? You get there, you've got your wallet, you've got a tenner. Then what? And let's not forget, that's right, these machines don't give change. Because there was a point where I was like, I'm going to have to pay the price. Went in my wallet. The smallest change I had was a 50p. Now, we know the machine will accept the 50p, but we also know it's not going to give the change back. What if you've only got £1? What if you've got a £2 coin? We know the machine will accept it and let you in, but we know it's not going to give you the change back. Again, making money for nothing. I understand if for some reason there's been a change and the people who cleaned the toilets previously stopped getting paid and they had to do it that way. But I honestly don't believe that's the way that it's gone. I honestly believe that they've gone, let's just charge people. We'll make a load of money. We'll make an absolute killing for nothing. For just sticking a thing there that says you can't go to the toilet unless you give us money. It's disgusting. Stuff like that should not be allowed. A little bit of rant there. Said I wasn't going to be ranting anymore. But it's disgusting. Anyway, Whitby. Use of the toilet. Went on the beach. Got on the beach. Everybody wanted to go in the sea. Shoes off, socks off, went in the sea. That to me is just hilarious. I'd say around at one point, I was like, this is the great British people. This is the great British public. This is the British enjoying their summer. There was people in coats, huddled in they looked like some kind of strange refugee, eating sandwiches while sand was whipping into their faces and enjoying the great British summer. I was like, this is why we don't lose wars, because that's our version of summer. It was grey, it was cloudy, the sea was cold, although the longer you spent in it, the better it was. It just made me chuckle to think, yep, this is what we do. We go to the beach when it's not all that warm and the sea's not all that warm. I saw a guy at one point in Speedos run into the sea. It's like, that's not going to be warm at all. But yeah, the whole thing amused me. Obviously, all the children were like, yay, sea. It was just funny to me. Right up to the point that I went, the tide has come in that much that we are technically stranded on the beach. So we had to make a mad dash for the stairs that led off the beach, which were very slowly becoming engulfed by the sea. So I had to do 4 trips of running people up the stairs to get off the beach before the tide fully came in. But that's kind of, part of it. Went to the beach, nearly got stranded on the beach, went on 2p machines, had chips, had ice cream, went home. Perfect. The Great British Summer, the Great British Beach Day. I bought a bucket and spade. I think it cost a grand total of £3.50. Great money. Dug a big hole. I saw a video recently that was like, if you ever go to the beach, just dig a massive hole. And then you can make, and there's this thing like you dig a big hole and then you make like seats in the hole and then you can sit in it. Don't know why. It looked interesting. I tried to dig a big hole, but I didn't get very far. A small announcement. Don't worry, I'm not pregnant. It's definitely not yours. A small announcement. I saw a video recently. This is a twofold thing. Firstly, I believe there's a possibility that I owe Vin Diesel an apology. I don't honestly know the truth, and I am sure, being a massive fan of the podcast, that Vin Diesel will accept this apology. I don't know the truth about the Fast and the Furious thing. I said on the last podcast that I believed that Vin Diesel was this big diva on set and he wasn't turning up when he was supposed to, and he demanded the biggest trailer and all this, that and the other. I saw a video the other day that apparently it was the other way around. Apparently it was The Rock who was the diva, was turning up late, demanding the biggest trailer and stuff. At the end of the day, I've no idea. I don't know. I've seen two different contradictory stories about this, and I honestly don't know if it hugely matters what my opinion is. However, I don't want to paint a picture of something that is not true, so I think I'll just retract everything I said, and whatever it was, whoever was at fault, and whoever wasn't at fault. It did lead me on to something else. The video I was watching was a clip of a Joe Rogan experience, and they got talking about The Rock, and it was like the guy who was talking about The Rock said something about his physique, and the other guy was like, steroids. And I've seen a few videos recently that was talking about like how big you can become naturally versus steroids, for want of a better way of putting it. And I was like, oh man, you get suckered in. Like people say, I just eat loads of chicken. Just eat loads of chicken. Protein shakes, chicken, workout. And this guy who was like, yeah, that's what's known as bullshit. I don't care how much chicken you eat and how many protein shakes you drink, you can't get to be that size naturally. It's not natural. You physically can't do it. I watched a video about 10 celebrities who suspected of taking steroids. Interesting ones are like Hugh Jackman for his Wolverine stuff. They showed images of him before doing the first X-Men film. They showed images of him in the first X-Men film. And then they showed images of him in the last couple. And it's like, holy jeebus. Yeah. That sort of thing that you just don't think about it. But yeah, honestly don't think that you're going to get to look like that at the age he was at by just eating a load of chicken and working out once a day. No surprises, The Rock was on that list. They showed pictures of him before Pain and Gain, and obviously they showed pictures of him in Pain and Gain. I think somewhere along the line I seem to remember that there might have been a point where he maybe said that there was some kind of steroid use at that time. I believe he was saying that he was coming off the back of a WWE training camp when he did that film. And I think it might have been hinted or suggested, or somebody along the line suggested that there may have been some steroid use. Again, It's one of those things that we'd love to believe that The Rock gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning and he works out for 2 hours and he eats 7 meals a day and he has these epic cheat meals, and those are all the reasons why The Rock looks the way he looks. We'd love to believe that. But then I remembered going back to watching Bigger, Faster, Stronger documentary about steroid abuse. There's various points in that where people say about their steroid usage, and people say, if you believe that you can look the way I look without steroids, you're very naive. You know, there's no amount of protein shake that makes you look like this. It's steroids. So I'm now in this whole. I watched a little bit earlier. I watched a video of 2 UFC fighters getting back into the UFC stuff, and I was like, well, hang on a minute. Have they used steroids to look like that? Because these guys were shredded. It's like, are they on steroids? Because surely that would get picked up by the UFC. I was watching a video, there was a guy saying, you know, that you can do X amount naturally. You can look a certain way naturally. And the guy who'd done this video about these suspected actors using steroids, a lot of the times he did say, do I believe that this has been done naturally? Yes. However, there's is it the hormone replacement or the testosterone replacement? Saying that although it's not a steroid, it is still a performance enhancer, which is similar to a steroid. So I think a couple of times he'd said, this person, I don't believe they've used steroids. Do I believe they've used testosterone replacement? Yes. So I think it's a very muddy line. But yeah, something random that had popped up in the last week, and now I'm like, why do I bother going to the gym? Oh, I got very dry in that section. Very dry. So, steroids and The Rock and Vin Diesel. Okay, let's talk about the fun stuff. Last you checked in with me, dear podcast listener, the last time you checked in with me, I was probably playing Watch Dogs 2. That wasn't going well. I'm not gonna lie. I was really not enjoying it. I have this thing that no game should make you angry, like rage-inducing angry. No game should make you feel like you're wasting your time. No game should make you feel like you're like, oh man, I'm just going to go and do anything else. Games are a waste of time. I'm not going to say that they're not. I've said 1,000 times on the podcast, I use games to decompress. It's what I do. I like films, I like games, I like going to the gym. Things like that. You know, TV, stuff on TV. Not TV, obviously. These are the things that I do to decompress. Games is one of them. I'm not going to say that they're not a waste of time, but I'm also not going to say that I don't enjoy them. But I do have this thing that you shouldn't play a game that makes you angry. You shouldn't play a game that takes over your life and is more important than other things. You shouldn't play a game that just wants money from you. You know, there are various things. Watch Dogs was just, I just spent my time playing that game going, what, you know, how did they get it so wrong? They could have done it, they could have easily done it right, but instead they chose to do it wrong. Why would you do that? Got to the point where it was making me not want to play games, which is something, as any gamer will tell you, there's a point where you're just like, I don't want to play games at the moment, I want to do something else. And then there's a point where you're like, oh my god, all I want to do right now is play games for days on end. This weekend, I had a lot I did some podcast coding. I did some it was that and games, and dad stuff. So I'm looking at my game collection. I think I'd sort of mentioned, I've been like jumping around on games. Like I played a bit of Spider-Man, played a bit of Ace Combat, played a bit of Ghost Recon. But I'm like, man, I just need something to get my teeth into. I want a game I can get my teeth into. The moment that comes up, you're immediately put into the realms of your big games, your lengthy games. The last couple of Assassin's Creed games have been quite lengthy. Certainly the last one, Ghost Recon. If you were to start that from the beginning, it'd probably take you certainly a couple. It'd certainly be weeks to play. Your open world, your sandbox games, these big games. I had a conversation with JK at work, and he was like, talking about the Witcher TV series that's coming out soon. There's been a trailer, stuff like that, and he was like, man, it's making me want to play The Witcher 3. This kind of stuck with me. So at the point I'm looking at my game collection and I'm looking at Watch Dogs 2 and the prospect of having to put it on and just being disappointed by it as a game, my eyes fell upon The Witcher 3. So I'm like, I'll reinstall it. That's a start. I'll reinstall it. One of the things about anytime you ever install The Witcher 3, it just takes a really long time, and it does it in a really weird way. It'll do the disc, and then it'll do like the update from the internet, and then it tells you the game's ready, and then you go into the game, it's like, what are you doing? This game isn't ready. Come back later. And it just takes a really long time to install. It's good to have something on the back burner while you're waiting for it to install. I've been playing it a little while ago, got so far, and I imagine something else came along. So didn't have to start it from the beginning, which was kind of nice. Started playing it and just really got into it. It's a great game. I really enjoy it. One of my dirty little secrets, my dirty little gaming secrets, is when I played The Witcher 3 originally, I never actually finished it. The reason it's a dirty little gamer secret is the reason why I never actually finished it. I enjoyed The Witcher 3 that much that when it got to the point where I was like, oh, this is the end, I couldn't bring myself to finish it because I'd enjoyed it that much. And I put off playing the end. And ultimately, I put it off to the point that I never finished it. It's not the first game I've done something similar. I did it with Fallout 3. Not because I enjoyed it. Purely because I got to a point where I gave up. And then somebody told me that I was actually at the end of the game. Rather than just going and finishing the game, I started the game again, played it all the way through, pretty much hating every minute of it, and got to the point where I stopped playing, and then 5 minutes after that, the game was over. I was like, wow, should have just played the end of it. But yeah, The Witcher 3, I loved it that much that some part of me was like, oh, if you don't play the end, it's like it never ended. Very strange, very weird kind of thing. Can't overly explain it, just is what it is. This time round, I've now got further than I have ever got, and realised the other day that I traded my original copy of The Witcher 3 in to get the Game of the Year edition. So I've actually got 2 DLCs to play, which I've never played because I've never finished it. So this game is definitely a word that's recently popped up, satiated. it's definitely satisfying my appetite for I needed a game I could get my teeth stuck into. This is definitely ticking that box. I'm excited to put it on. I want to play it. I look for the time to play it. I was a little bit like going back to work today, having had a week off and a weekend of playing The Witcher. I was a bit like, oh man, I just want to stay at home and play The Witcher, which is something that's so rare these days in the games market. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to review it because, you know, I'm pretty sure any gamer has played The Witcher 3 by now. I will keep plugging away at it. I think there was this thing that I never did a review for Rage 2. If I'm honest, it's a game that doesn't really warrant a review. Disappointing is... yeah, underwhelming. Very underwhelming, that game. I'm not going to review The Witcher 3, but I will let you know if I finish it and if I go on to the DLCs. Apparently the DLCs are quite long. Somebody told me they were like 30 hours or something. So that'll be interesting to see what that looks like. I'm quite looking forward to that. So that's games. So movies. Sorry about all the yawning. Really should have made a cup of coffee. Felt fine before I sat down to do this. Anyway, movies. I've only watched one film this week, I think. I saw part of Secret Life of Pets. That film looked like a hot mess. The editing in that film is mental. It jumps around loads. To be honest, I wasn't paying much attention. The movie that I watched this week was Invader Zim Enter the Florpus. So, for anybody that doesn't know, Invader Zim was a Nickelodeon cartoon back in the late 90s, early 2000s? Let me have a look. I don't want to be telling you wrong. Probably more likely to be early 2000s. Invader Zim, not Into the Florpus. Okay, so Invader Zim was 2001 to 2004. The way I always describe it to people is it was a cartoon on Nickelodeon that the first or second episode of the third series managed to get the cartoon banned because it was deemed unsuitable for children, because they did a Christmas episode where they made Father Christmas this horrible monster who tries to destroy Earth. Almost in some ways similar to the Futurama Father Christmas. Invader Zim was fantastic. It was a great cartoon. Shame it got cancelled, but still kind of funny that a cartoon got cancelled because it was deemed unsuitable for children. Had a good fan base, so obviously it was one of those people were quite put out by the fact that it got cancelled, quite upset that it sort of went off the air. Again, one of those, no children were watching Invader Zim. It was all the grown-ups. I've got a really cool box set of all the DVDs. It's like his Invader Zim's house, and the top opens and there's a Invader Zim spaceship in it, and then if you open the front of the house it's got all the DVDs. Really cool box set. And it was just one of those things. It was sad that it had gone. Enjoyable. I've got at least one Invader Zim t-shirt. Part of me thinks I might have. I know I've got like 2 or 3 t-shirts. They're sometimes quite obscure. So yeah, Invader Zim 2004 disappeared out of everyone's lives. About 18 months ago, there was an announcement to say that there was going to be an Invader Zim movie done by Netflix. Netflix, I think, had bought the rights, although when I've watched it, it was Nickelodeon and Netflix present this Invader Zim movie. Sat down to watch it. I checked the runtime. It was like an hour and 11 minutes, which, not the longest animated movie, but if that's the way that they were going to go with it. And it was great. It was loads of fun. It hasn't missed a step at all. It was great. It looks beautiful. Obviously, the animation stuff is updated to like now sort of style animation, while still looking exactly the same. It was great. My only minute criticism would be that it just felt like another episode, which I know might sound strange, but it was supposed to be a movie, and it just felt like an episode. It might have been a little. I felt like it maybe needed a little bit more grandeur. That seemed to be missing, but it didn't. It was great. It was superb. The way that they sort of addressed the massive gap. Obviously, it's been 15 years, and they just sort of did the. Zim's just been waiting 15 years. One of the characters sort of had let themselves go over that time. It was really good. It was a lot of fun. Really great to see. I'm sort of kind of hoping that they get a series off the back of this. Netflix would be a great place for it to sit. For them to do another series of Invader Zim would be a really good idea at this point in time. Obviously, you've got things like Rick and Morty that became huge. Jump on that bandwagon. Why not? Great series. Shame it ended. A great addition of the movie, and I hope that there will be more in the future. So yeah, that is technically the only film I watch. I am watching a film while I'm on the treadmill in the gym, but I haven't finished it yet, so I can't sort of comment on that. Which brings me nicely to the gym. Having had holiday last week and doing all the things that holiday sort of stuff, did not go to the gym. Did manage to get a run in. Was it the week before that was the 10k? No, I'm not asking you. I don't expect you to respond. But yeah, it was a bit of a. I didn't do anything to excess, like eating or anything, apart from on Thursday, which was the day we went to the beach. I had like a cheap window. I had an ice cream. So yeah, managed to get running during that week, but that week is now over. I went to the gym last night, did some weights and did a run. I'm doing the low carb diet, sticking to the low carb diet, kind of keeping my fingers crossed that this is going to be the way to go. It was one of those, I had like a cheap window, and then I had a bit of a cheap weekend, knowing that I was going to go back to the gym at the end of the weekend. Honestly, didn't enjoy the cheat aspect. The cheat meal I'd had, can't say I overly enjoyed it. The cheat, because it was like a cheat meal and then like a cheat treat, I can't say I overly enjoyed any of it. I'm trying to work on the principle that maybe my taste buds have changed, having eaten not really much more than salad for a month. That'd be cool. I honestly think I think my cheat stuff from now on will be more like, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm sticking with the low carbs or almost no carb stuff. It's technically a keto diet, and I watched a video the other day. The buff dudes they did keto diet for 45 days. One of them said it didn't work for him. The other one said it did. So I know there's a lot of benefits to it, but I know there's a massive number of side effects. I'm just going to see how far I can get. I'm going to keep going to the gym. I'm still training. I think I'm working on the principle that I should always be training for something. So that's kind of the way I'm going to do things from now on. And it's just going to be, at this point in time, I'm training for this. And at this point in time, I'm training for that. Once those things have gone, then I'll train for something else. I think that's just the way that I'm going to do things from now on. Yeah, I'm going to go to the gym in a bit. I'm going to go and have some tea, sort of now. And then I'm going to go to the gym. And then, yeah. One thing is, I did a couple of podcasts over the weekend, like coded up a couple of podcasts, and it was quite amusing because it was still at the point in time where I hadn't gone back to the gym, and it was me going, oh, any day now I'm going to go to the gym, I'm definitely going to go, I'm ready for it, and then going, but I haven't been to the gym, and I know you're thinking, why didn't you just go, but I'm nearly there, I'm going to go, thinking at that point in time, well, past me was right. I did go to the gym, and I have gone back to the gym. So yeah, that sort of brings us to the end. As always, thank you for joining me. Thank you for sticking with me. That is if you have stuck with me. Rumour has it, and I don't want to jump the gun on this one, but rumour has it that an upcoming Darkest Timeline podcast might potentially have a guest. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's right. You will have to maybe not listen to my dulcet tones. Well, not just my dulcet tones for an episode. But we'll see if that comes off, and we'll see how that one goes. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I will see you then. Bye.
So there you go then, what do you think of that? Another one in the bag, another week gone, another podcast done. YouTube watchers, make sure you're YouTube subscribers, like, comment, share, all the good stuff. Everybody jump over to thecookiecast.com, check us out over there, send us some social media love, send us an email or anything. So there we go, another one done, another week gone, and another week closer to, well, whatever it is. Until next week, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye.